Russian forces are advancing in 3 districts of the Sumy region and are trying to get within range to strike the regional center with artillery fire, reports the US-based Institute for the Study of War. It is noted that Russian forces are intensifying attempts to expand the front line in the north of the Sumy region on 3 axes of advance toward the north and northeast of the city of Sumy. Geolocated video materials released on June 2 indicate that the Russians recently advanced north of the village of Andrivka and northeast of the village of Yablonivka, northeast of Sumy. According to Russian military bloggers, the Russian army recently captured Oleksivka, Novomykhailivka, and Kindrativka, all located north of Sumy, and also advanced to the northern part of Andrivka as well as west of Yablonivka and C. Analysts from the institute noted that Russian forces have recently intensified ground assaults north of Sumy toward Andrivka, as well as northeast of the city in the direction of Unikivka and Myropilya. Ukrainian military observer Konstantin Mashevets reported that elements of the Russian 18th Motorized Rifle Division and the 177th Naval Infantry Regiment are engaged along the Konstantinivka-Kindrativka and Volodymyrivka-Oleksivka lines. Meanwhile, elite Russian airborne regiments, the 104th, 234th, and 237th VDV of the 76th VDV Division, are operating along the Lokhnya, Unikivka line. Reinforcements have been pulled in from other sectors, including units of the 752nd Motorized Rifle Regiment and the 200th Motorized Rifle Brigade from the Lyman and Chasiv Yar directions, the report reads. ISW adds that Russia appears to be trying to push to the Kodenkripivsk-China line, some 12 to 15 kilometers from Sumy city, potentially allowing them to shell the city with conventional tube artillery. Russian officials have repeatedly called for creating a buffer zone in this region and appear to be shaping the narrative to justify a broader offensive. Despite this, ISW maintains that Russian forces are unlikely to achieve a full occupation of the city in the foreseeable future. ISW continues to assess that Russian forces are highly unlikely to be able to seize Sumy city in the near to medium term, as Russian forces have not seized a Ukrainian city with a pre-war population greater than 100,000 since July 2022, the report reads. Ukrainian military analyst Konstantin Mashevets reported that units from the 104th, 234th, and 237th Airborne Regiments are operating along the Lokhnya-Unikivka line and to the west of Lokhnya, all northeast of Sumy. On June 1, the Kiev authorities gave an order to attack Russian strategic air bases in the Murmansk, Irkutsk, Ivanovo, Ryazan and Amur regions with attack drones. According to journalists from the Russian Tsargrad publication, the main goal of the Ukrainian armed forces' attack on the facilities was to destroy the missile carriers that were at the air bases. In addition, on June 1, the Ukrainian armed forces blew up 2 road bridges in the Bryansk and Kursk regions, resulting in more than 100 people being injured, including minors. The strikes on the regions were commented on by State Duma deputy, retired Lieutenant General Andrei Gurulev, who harshly criticized not only the Kiev, but also the Russian military department responsible for the security of the nuclear triad. According to the general, it is necessary to conduct a thorough investigation and, in accordance with the country's criminal code, bring to justice those responsible from the General Staff of the Russian Federation. Gurulev called the lack of protection from Ukrainian drones at air bases where Russia's strategic aviation was located complete carelessness. Strategic aviation is part of our nuclear triad. They hit not just an aircraft, but a carrier of special munitions, Kh-55 missiles. Any aircraft with 16 missiles can destroy half of America. Who is responsible for the nuclear triad? The General Staff. I would very much like this not to pass by, for them to be held accountable for it. This should be answered for under the criminal code, for causing insane damage to our country, said General Gurulev. Recall, Security Service of Ukraine conducted Operation Spiderweb, targeting 4 military airfields in the Russian rear simultaneously across 3 time zones, according to the head of the SBU, Vasyl Malyuk. Drone strikes hit 41 Russian strategic aviation aircraft, including A-50, Tu-95, Tu-22M3, and Tu-160 models. The destruction of enemy bombers is a task assigned to us by President Volodymyr Zelensky. He personally oversaw the course of the special operation, which was prepared by SBU personnel. The enemy bombed our country almost every night using these aircraft, and today they tangibly felt that retribution is inevitable. The SBU is doing and will continue to do everything possible to protect Ukraine and stop Russian attacks, Malyuk said. With mass strikes on legitimate military targets on the territory of the Russian Federation, the Ukrainian side demonstrated the possibility of scaling up strike drones of the aircraft type. Military political analyst Dmitry Snezherev spoke about this on the air of the Freedom TV channel. Let's recall the statistics of strikes. The most massive strike by Ukrainian UAVs on the territory of the Russian Federation, more than 500 drones. The Russian strike on the territory of Ukraine, 300 drones. The President of Ukraine has already noted that the Ukrainian side will respond in kind to external threats from the occupying country. As we see, this is being implemented by the defense forces of Ukraine, Snezherev noted. He noted that at the time of the peace talks, the Russian occupation army increased pressure both directly on the line of combat contact, and along the entire length of 1,200 kilometers, and increased the number of strikes on peaceful cities in Ukraine. The goal is to force Ukraine to comply with the Russian ultimatum. And what do we see? Strikes on the territory of the Russian Federation. They primarily increase the subjectivity of the Ukrainian state in the negotiation process. We make it clear, first of all, to Russia and, accordingly, to the United States, that no one will talk to Ukraine from the position of dictating their terms. Ukraine has something to respond with, regardless of military technical assistance from the United States and our European partners. I will emphasize once again that the Ukrainian military-industrial complex has scaled up the production of Ukrainian weapons. Therefore, this is not only a military, but primarily a political effect. Kyiv demonstrates its subjectivity, increases it in the negotiation process, the military political analyst noted. As for the massive strikes on the territory of the Russian Federation, according to him, the Russians have understood what is special about the Ukrainian attacks. It is scaling. Note that the strikes are carried out on several subjects on the territory of the Russian Federation. The Russian Federation, regardless of the final outcome of the attacks by Ukrainian UAVs, is forced to introduce the so-called carpet plan to close the airspace on the territory of the country. And this is a colossal loss for the Russian economy. In terms of the cost of the Ukrainian UAV and the losses of the Russian economy, these are incomparable figures. And I am more than sure that the Ukrainian side will continue such tactics in the future, said Dmitry Snezherev. From now on, more terrible strikes await Russian military airfields, as well as other military facilities.